You're looking at Karen's luxury SUV buried nose down in a mud trench on my property, the HOA board member sticker hanging by one sad little corner like even the adhesive was ashamed of her. I didn't push it, I didn't tow it, I didn't touch it. She looked me dead in the eye and screamed, "Do it!" So I pulled the lever and gravity handled the rest. But to understand how we got from quiet farmland to a full-blown HOA meltdown, you need to hear everything that happened before that moment. I wasn't always a farmer. For nearly 20 years I lived in fluorescent buildings working logistics and mechanical planning, solving problems no one outside the industry even thinks about. Long nights, emergency calls, meetings that ate my weekends. One night around 11 p.m., sitting under a flickering break room light that hummed louder than my own thoughts, something inside me snapped in the quietest way possible. I just whispered to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. And for once I listened. A year later, I bought 70 acres of Nebraska farmland, rolling pasture, a half-falling-apart barn, a creek that whispered louder than any boardroom. Best part. My land sat just outside the Green Meadows HOA boundary. Not inside, not partially, completely outside their reach. Or so I thought. For 3 years, I lived exactly the life I'd imagined. Cattle grazing, wide skies, the honest exhaustion that comes from fixing fences instead of spreadsheets. I kept to myself, and the HOA neighborhood stayed on their neatly manicured side. It should have stayed that way. But peace has a strange way of attracting the kind of people who can't stand boundaries they don't control. And that's exactly when Karen rolled into my life. I remember the moment perfectly. A bright Thursday, the kind of afternoon where even time feels lazy. I was tightening a hinge on the barn when I heard an engine that definitely didn't belong out here. Not a tractor, not a neighbor's old Ford. This sound purred, entitled expensive. I stepped into the light and watched a pristine white luxury SUV crawl down my private gravel drive like it was strolling through a mall parking lot. Before I could wave her down, she cut off the road and drove straight into my field, into my corn. I walked toward her, confused but polite, and called out, "Ma'am, this is private property." She didn't even look at me, just clicked her key fob, locked the SUV, and started walking toward the HOA subdivision as if I were a misplaced fence post. "Ma'am, you can't park here." She finally turned, lowered her sunglasses, and smirked. "Relax, it's just grass." "That's my corn," I replied. She laughed, an airy, dismissive sound meant to make me feel stupid. "Oh, you're new. You'll learn how things work around here. I'll only be an hour." I stood there staring at the ruts she carved through my field, and I knew exactly what kind of person she was. After 30 seconds, the type who believes rules apply to everyone but her. 2 days later, she did it again. Deeper this time. Didn't say a word. Just parked, stepped out, and left. By the third time, she was speeding windows down, honking like she was reenacting the Indy 500 in my cornfield. And she was laughing. That week, her friends joined in SUVs, minivans, sedans with proud soccer mom stickers. They waved at me like I was a valet. They held baby showers and yoga gatherings while turning my field into a makeshift parking lot. I put up signs, real signs, private property, no parking, no access, and Karen drove past them like they were children's drawings taped to a fridge. So I escalated. I contacted my attorney, Jim Sutton. We sent Karen a certified cease and desist with every legal reference neatly outlined. She signed for it, then shredded it. I found the pieces scattered in my field like confetti after the world's most disrespectful parade. Then came her email. Subject line, HOA Access Correction. She attached a map drawn with a pink highlighter, I kid you not, showing a community access zone that supposedly ran through my western acres. The HOA logo in the corner looked like it had been copied from Google Images at 144p resolution. There has been historical shared access for decades. We expect you to honor that, she wrote. I replied, "This map is not legally valid. There is no easement on my deed." Her reply came fast. "We'll see about that." That was the moment I understood this wasn't confusion. This was control. And she wasn't planning to stop. Then things got worse. I'll never forget Daisy, one of my sweetest heifers, grazing quietly near the western fence line. The sky was low, the wind unsettled. And then I heard it. Karen's SUV flying across my land again. Music blasting, window down. She honked twice. Daisy spooked hard, stumbled, and fell. A vet came that night and warned me that stress like this could cause complications. The next morning, Daisy miscarried. I sat next to her in the straw, her warm breaths trembling against my arm, and for the first time in years, I felt utterly powerless. I asked myself questions I'd never thought I'd ask. Is this worth it? Should I let her win? Should I sell and leave? Am I somehow the crazy one? I felt small, like she had taken not just my land, but my sense of control. And then, like the world wasn't done beating me down. HOA residents held a baby shower in my lower pasture. Balloons, glitter, SUVs lined up like it was assigned parking. One woman actually waved at me and said, "Thanks for letting us use your lot." That was the moment I stopped doubting myself. Karen didn't just blur the line, she erased it. And I realized I'd spent months trying to reason with someone who viewed kindness as permission. The next escalation was Karen calling the sheriff on me. She claimed I screamed at her, threatened her, charged at her car. Sheriff Morrison arrived tired but fair. Karen spun her story like she was auditioning for a courtroom drama. But then I showed him my videos, trail cam footage, timestamps, angles. Karen tried to claim everything was edited. Morrison deadpanned, "Ma'am, trail cams don't edit themselves." He told her plainly, the land belongs entirely to Marcus. There is no easement. She refused to accept it. She said the signs were illegal. She said I was harassing her. She said she had HOA rights. When the sheriff left, Karen spun her wheels and sprayed mud all over my jeans. I watched her go, and something in me shifted. Anger burned steady, not hot focused. I knew talking wouldn't fix this. Legal letters wouldn't fix this. Karen only understood consequences she inflicted on herself. That night, sitting in the barn beside Daisy, the idea formed. Something safe, legal, documented, but impossible for Karen to ignore. A mechanism, not a weapon. A boundary, not a threat. Something that would let the land itself respond when she crossed onto it. I called Jim in the morning. Hypothetically, I asked if I built a tilting platform on my property, clearly marked, clearly warned that uses gravity to redirect vehicles into a mud catch. Is that legal? There was a long pause. Marcus, if you use warning signs, if it's not meant to hurt anyone, and if gravity is doing the work, then, technically, it's legal. But for the love of God, do not call it a catapult. Never, I promised. I spent days building the platform. Reinforced barn beams, steel hinges, a detent lock, a gravity slide that dropped into a mud trench on the property line. I tested it with hay bales, then with an old water tank, then with my Ford farm truck. The moment the truck slid off the platform, smooth controlled landing, soft in the mud, I laughed harder than I had in months. It worked. Safe, predictable, legal. But I needed Karen to choose it. So I cleaned the platform spotless, smoothed the wood, added warnings everywhere. And then the bait. VIP parking authorized personnel only. If you've ever met someone like Karen, you know exactly why that sign worked. 3 days passed. On the 4th morning, the sun was just rising when I saw the white SUV heading straight toward the platform, sparkling like a pearl, dipped in arrogance. She accelerated when she saw the VIP sign. I grabbed my camera, turned on the cloud backup, picked up the megaphone, and stepped outside. Driver of the white SUV. I called you are parked on active farm machinery. Move your vehicle immediately. Karen leaned out her window. Oh, please, your little scare tactics don't work on me. You have 10 seconds to vacate. This is an automated tilting platform. Move your vehicle now. She revved the engine and flipped me off. I tried one last time. Ma'am, this is your final warning. If you do not move your vehicle, the system will... She screamed full volume, "Do it!" So I did. Clanked the lock, disengaged. The platform dipped. The SUV slid back in one smooth, unstoppable glide. Whoosh! And landed in the mud trench with a heavy, glorious squelch. For 2 seconds, everything went silent. Karen's sunglasses sat crooked on her face. Her mouth hung open. And then the screaming started. "You tried to kill me. This is illegal. I'm calling the police." "I already did," I said. When Sheriff Morrison arrived, Karen sprinted to him like a soap opera, extra yelling. He catapulted me off a cliff. The sheriff looked around. "Ma'am, where exactly do you see a cliff?" I played the video, the warnings, her flipping me off, her yelling, "Do it!" Morrison watched the whole thing, nodded, and said the line that will echo in my memory for years. "Well, ma'am, gravity isn't illegal." Her face collapsed. She called her husband. "Richard, come get me. He tried to kill me." Richard sighed loudly through the speaker. "Karen, I told you to stop going over there." She shrieked. He hung up. She called her lawyer, Bradley Emergency. The farmer. "Karen," he said, exhausted, "I told you to stop talking to people." He hung up too. Then her insurance emailed her right there in front of us. Claim denied. Willful trespassing and ignoring posted warnings are not covered. Also, we cannot insure against localized gravity experiments. Even the sheriff chuckled at that one. When the tow truck arrived, the driver took one look at the SUV and said, "Yep, that's totaled." Karen made a sound like a deflated accordion. Sheriff handed her the citation: criminal trespass, property damage, livestock endangerment. She tried to protest, but she had nothing left. Not lies, not ego, not even clean shoes. Mud was halfway up her legs. 2 days later, I received a letter from Green Meadows HOA. A formal apology. A statement denouncing Karen's actions. A note that she'd been removed from the board pending review. And just like that, the land went quiet again. I sat on my porch that evening listening to the wind move through the corn the way it used to before Karen arrived. No engines, no honking, no trespassing, just the sound of home. If anyone ever asks what happened to Karen's SUV, I tell them the truth. I didn't touch it. Gravity did. And the lesson: boundaries mean nothing until you enforce them.